Welcome back to the channel. If you are preparing for Java backend developer interviews, you are in the right place. In our last video, we covered 8 fundamental Java questions. Today we are diving into object-oriented programming in Java with a focus on interview-specific questions and their concise answers that will help you stand out. Let's get started. Let's begin with basics. The basic question would be, what is a class in Java? A class is a named group of properties and functions. Properties can also be termed as fields and functions can also be termed as methods. So a class is a template for objects. It is just a logical construct. It does not occupy memory space. Next question would be, what is an object in Java? So an object is an instance of a class. It is a physical reality. It actually occupies memory space. So if we consider human as a class, then the properties would be their name, age, etc. And the functions would be eat, sleep, etc. So an object is actually a physical reality which occupies the space. So for example, if we create a new instance of a class human, with their names such as John Doe, their age as 25, then it is an instance of a class. So here is an example of a class and its object. So we can see there is a student class keyword starts with C, which is a small case letter. We have two properties here, which is name and age. We have one method which is study. Now another class is student demo, where we have the main method. In the first line we can see student s. So here we are creating the reference variable for object, and then s equal to new student. This is the actual instantiation of object, and it is actually allocating memory and returning the reference via default constructor. Next basic question would be, what is new keyword? So new keyword is used to dynamically allocate memories for objects and create an instance of an object. Next question, what is a constructor? It is a special function which basically defines what happens when your object is getting created. It runs whenever an object is created. Next question on constructors can be, explain the types of constructor. So the constructor are of four types. One is the default constructor. It is provided by Java if you do not define any constructor. Second is no argument constructor. It is defined by a programmer. It takes no argument. Basically, it can include a custom initialization code, like say a print statement that an object is getting created. Third is parameterized constructor. It accepts parameter for custom initialization. Fourth is a copy constructor, used to create a copy of an existing object. Java doesn't provide this by default. You have to define it manually. Another question would be on a very important keyword, which is this keyword in Java. So the this keyword refers to the current object within a method or constructor, helping distinguish between instance variables and parameters. So this keyword in Java is a special reference variable that refers to the current object. There are three use cases of this keyword. First is referencing instance variables. So here we can see this.x. Here this.x actually refers to the class field, which is x, and equal to x is the parameter. Second use case is invoking current class method. So we can see in a function void show, we are using this.display. So here it is actually calling the display method of the same class. Third is calling other constructors in the same class. So we can see here it is a default constructor. Here we have mentioned this and 5. So it will be calling the example class constructor with the int parameter. Next question would be, is Java a pure object oriented language? No. Answer to this question is no. The Java is not a pure object oriented programming language. The main reason is because it uses 8 primitive data types. It uses these primitive data types to promote simplicity. Next question would be data types in Java with their size. So these are the 8 data types. Boolean, which is of 1 bit in size. It can be either 0 or 1. Then there is byte, which is having a length of 1 byte. Short, having length of 2 bytes. Char, having length of 2 bytes. Int, having length of 4 bytes. Float, having length of 4 bytes. Long, having length of 8 bytes, and double, having length of 8 bytes. Next question would be, what are the wrapper classes in Java? So wrapper classes allow primitive data types to be used as an object. Next question is, what is autoboxing and unboxing in Java? So autoboxing is the automatic conversion made by the Java compiler between primitive data types and their corresponding object wrapper class. For example, the compiler converts an int to an integer, a double to a double, and so on. If the conversion goes other way, then this operation is called as unboxing. This is another important question. What is static keyword in Java? So the static keyword denotes that a member variable or method can be accessed without requiring an instantiation of the class to which it belongs. Use case of the static keywords: static variables. So we can use static keyword to define static variables. These are also known as class variable. It is shared across all instances of a class. Then we have static methods. It can be called without creating an object. It can only directly access the other static members. Then there is static blocks. These blocks are executed only once when the class is getting loaded. The most important question in object-oriented programming in Java is principle of OOPS. So basically there are four principles or pillar of object-oriented programming. They are as follows: inheritance, polymorphism, encapsulation, and abstraction. We will see each one by one in the upcoming slides. Inheritance. So inheritance is a core principle of a Java object-oriented programming. Inheritance allows a subclass to inherit properties and behaviors from a superclass. To inherit from a class, we can use the extends keyword. For example, we have a superclass here. It can have any fields or methods. Then there is a subclass which extends the superclass. So we are using extends keyword here. Now there is a various types of inheritance. First is single inheritance, where a subclass inherits from one superclass only. And there is multi-level inheritance. A class inherits from a subclass, which in turn inherits from another class, forming a chain. So in the hierarchy, it can be like grandfather, father, and son. Third is multiple inheritance. A subclass inherits from more than one superclass. This is not supported in Java. We will see in upcoming slides why it is not supported. Hybrid inheritance. It is a combination of two or more types of inheritance. It is achievable via interfaces in Java. Hierarchical inheritance. Multiple subclasses inherit from a single superclass. So a basic example of this would be, there might be a single parent which are having multiple children. Second important pillar of object oriented programming is polymorphism. So poly word in the polymorphism stands for many, and morphism in polymorphism stands for forms. So basically polymorphism means many ways to represent a single entity or item. So there are two types of polymorphism, which is compile time polymorphism. It is achieved via method overloading, and runtime polymorphism, which is achieved via method overriding. Third important pillar of object-oriented programming is encapsulation. Encapsulation means wrapping data and data type and method together in a class. So a basic example of this would be using getter and setter. So basically we are wrapping up the fields and the methods in a class in one single entity. This is known as encapsulation. Abstraction. Abstraction means hiding unnecessary details and showing only valuable information. For example, when we are using list data type, we are calling its get and add method without knowing internally how actually the element is added or retrieved. Next, one important question is why multiple inheritance is not supported in Java. So the Java does not support multiple inheritance of classes to avoid complexity and ambiguity in the inheritance hierarchy. Most notably, the diamond problem. So the diamond problem occurs when when a class inherits from two classes that both extend the same base class, leading to confusion about which inherited method should be used if both parent classes provide different implementations of the same method. So the problem arises in a scenario like this. For example, say there is a class A, it has a method called foo, and the classes B and C both extend A and override foo. If another class D tries to inherit from both B and C and call foo on D, the compiler cannot determine whether to use B's foo method or C's version of foo method. This ambiguity can cause errors and unpredictable behavior, making code maintenance and debugging more difficult. This is the reason why multiple inheritance is not supported in Java, and this is the diamond problem in Java. Next question is, what is composition in Java? So a composition is when one class contains a reference to another class and uses its functionalities instead of inheriting from it. It is used to denote part of relationship. Example, room is a part of house. So here a room cannot exist without a house. Next question is, what is aggregation in Java? So aggregation in Java is a form of association that represent has a relationship between two classes. In aggregation, one class contains a reference to another class as a member, but both classes can exist independently, which was not the case in composition. In composition, room cannot be existed without a house. But here, if we take example, car has an engine, so an engine still can exist without a car. So this is a basic example of aggregation where we have one engine class, there is a start method on it, then when there is one car class and we are creating engine object inside the car class, and we are using the method of it. The next and one of the most important question is, what is method overloading? So method overloading means multiple methods are having same name but different argument list or order of arguments are different. Only change in the return type of the method does not satisfy the condition to be considered as method overloading. So there should be change in the data type of the parameters, or they should be arranged in different orders, something like that. Only if there is a change in return type, then it won't be considered as a proper method overloading. It is checked at a compile time, hence it is an example of compile time polymorphism. For example, if we take the example, the basic example would be constructors. There we know there can be multiple constructor with different argument lists. what it what is method overriding? This is another very important question. So method overriding in Java occurs when a subclass provides its own implementation of a method that is already defined in its superclass. This allows the subclass to customize or completely replace the behavior of that method, enabling runtime polymorphism, which is also known as dynamic polymorphism. So here the method signature is same. The overriding method in the subclass must have the same name, same return type, and same parameters as the method in the superclass. We can use at the rate override annotation, while it is not mandatory, but using it is recommended. It does two things. It tells the compiler that you intend to override a method, and it also helps in catching the error if the method signatures do not match. Access modifier, in terms of access modifier, the overriding method cannot have a more restrictive access modifier than the overridden method. Next question is, can we overload and override static methods? So we can overload static methods, but we cannot override the static method. The reason for static method not able to override is that the static methods are initialized at compile time, but overriding happens at runtime. Due to this, the static methods are not overridden. Next question is, can we overload and override the main method? Again, we can overload the main method, but we cannot override the main method because it is static. However, the JVM will only use the standard public static void main with string arguments as the entry point for your program. Any overloaded main methods must be called explicitly from within the code. They are not invoked automatically. Another important question is, explain public static void main string arguments. So here public means the method can be accessed from anywhere. Static means if we want to run any non-static method, we require an object of it to be able to run it. But since main method is the entry point of the program, it is marked as static so that it can be able to run without requiring an instantiation of it. Void means it will not return anything, and main is the name of method. String arguments is given as a parameter to accept runtime arguments. So another important question, why there is a need of static keyword in main method? So as we have seen in the earlier question, if we want to run any non-static method, we require an object of it to be able to run. But since main is the entry point of the program, and by this point we are not having any object for any class, so that's why it is marked as a static so that it can be able to run without requiring an instantiation of it. There's one next question is, can we access non-static variables in a static constant context? The simple answer is yes, by creating an instance of it, else the code will be giving a compile time error. Uh, Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. For more Java interview prep content, see you in the next video.